And this year is part of the jury of this year 13th edition of Kapotskari Short Film Festival, and we're going to interview you. So
okay,
thank you both.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me to be.
Thank you to be here.
Let's start with the first question.
Sure.
And your adaptation of Metamorphosis of Franz Kafka.
Yes.
In your first project, XR, was an international success.
Yes.
So, could you talk about this?
Sure. I was working on a feature film called Kafka's Son, which didn't get made yet, I suppose, like many films. But during this time, I was heavily researching Franz Kafka, his biographical details, and also I know his work quite well, and I got to experience virtual reality. And this was in like 2017 for the first time. And you know, I put the headset on, and I'm like, okay, this is a very interesting medium, especially because I was able to move around the space and interact with objects. And this was very different than 360 video, which has been around since the 80s and is not so interesting, I think. But this was something very, very new. And so then I had a producer, and he made a proposal like, could you come up with a story? And then I could help pitch it. And so it sort of naturally occurred to me that it would be very interesting to adapt Kafka's The Metamorphosis, since it had been adapted so many times and into so many different mediums. So graphic novels, and opera, video games, and all kinds of theater plays, music. So I thought this would be interesting, and so that's what we pitched it to the Goethe Institute in Prague, and they became the producers, and that started this journey to make that piece.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you. So my next question is, you certainly are up to date to new technologies, as well as VR, but most recently AI apparently.
Yes.
So are you using, or what do you think about this AI and about the use to make new films, and if this is gonna affect somehow the new movies, you know?
Yeah. I would say absolutely. I mean, I think the best way to think about AI right now is if you go back in cinema to, let's say, prior to the early 20th century, let's say late 19th century, the Lumiere brothers, cinema was not taken seriously. This was just like a documentary medium, and then it suddenly became used in these Nickelodeons. And nobody took it seriously as an art form. It had to develop. Its grammar changed over the next 15, 20 years into the close-up, the medium shot, you know, and then it brought all the theatrics from theater, and then finally sound and color and all of these things. AI is developing, I would say, in comparison, at light speed.
Definitely.
So you didn't have the ability with programs like Midjourney or, let's say, DALL-E to even successfully represent a person's face 6 months ago. And now it's entirely convincing. The software where you could actually just speak preferences and create videos is happening weekly. So yes, you will start to see films being made by people using AI, and they will become more and more and more sophisticated. Actually, not as the years move on, but as the months move on. So I think it's amazing, because the hardest thing about making a film, the barriers to making a film, are usually budgets. So most people in the world cannot make a film. This will radically alter that. Everybody will be making films. I mean, in the sense of like, we had a revolution with TikTok or Instagram, where social media suddenly, right? People are making films on their phones. They're very short, but AI will change this completely. You're going to see all of these let's say that the imagination of all of these different people all over the planet who want to tell a story and now can use animation or different characters, and they'll be able to create music through AI, they'll be able to create scripts using programs like ChatGPT. The question will be the quality, right?
Yeah.
That's a real big question, but I think none of us know right now. It's so new and it's developing so rapidly that I see it as just exciting.
Thank you.
Yes, we're living the moment.
We are.
And the last question is about the fact that you are a member of our jury. So
Yes.
Judging something is never an easy thing to do. And do you feel like your career had some effect in the way you perceive and then judge some movies?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually easy for me in the sense of, you know, like, I'm sure both of you have the experience when you go to a museum.
Yes.
And you see maybe hundreds of paintings, and then suddenly one just pulls you to it, and you stop, and you can't help but stop and look at all the details, and you feel personally moved by it. For me, it's the same. If there are 30 films, there are definitely 3 that I want to watch them many times. Because the artists have put something in there that speaks directly to my sensibility. And then that becomes, I think, a different question, because I work with 2 other jury members, and we all probably are moved by different films. And so then it becomes a question as to which ones in particular do we all agree on deserve the 3 awards, which we'll be giving to these separate categories. So. But yeah, for me it's very easy, but I must say then it's a collaboration between 3 members.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you both.
And
Thank you so much.
for coming.
Yeah.
And it was nice to meet you.
Yeah, you both as well.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.